Anza, you're live.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the CxO InsurTech Summit 2022. We had a very insightful and productive discussion earlier to this. And right now as well, we're going to be discussing a very hot topic these days. What are the implications of digital insurance licensing in the Pakistan insurance landscape? Something very pertinent. And joining me today are these esteemed panelists. Mr. Ali Nadeem, he's the Deputy CEO, IGI Life Insurance Limited. Mr. Ahmed Ali, the CEO of Kiryana Services Private Limited. And Syed Ali Hassan Zaidi, the COO at TPL Insurance. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. My first question is from Mr. Ali Nadeem. Sir, why is licensing so important for digital insurance in the Pakistani insurance landscape? Where do you see the importance? I'm unable to hear you, sir. If you can perhaps connect or reconnect your mic, we'll come back to you and take your comments later. Mr. Ali Zaidi, same question to you.
Thank you, Ansa. So like you see, why licenses is important, and before that I'll give my perspective on why digital insurance licenses or the insurance in Pakistan requires. So we are one of the least penetrated insurance industries in Pakistan, and if you see our peer countries like India and Sri Lanka, they are still performing better in the insurance industry. So the few challenges that we see in Pakistan is, of course, one of them is lack of awareness amongst the masses about insurance. There are misconceptions about insurance companies as well. And to some extent, the capacity issues of insurance companies as well. All of these basically have generated over the years. And if I pick one of the reason which is important to it is, of course, that the insurance companies do not necessarily connect with the general public. So historically, what had been happening is that there were certain mutual insurance companies working in Pakistan, and the customers of the general public have a fairly poor experience with them. So what the regulator has been doing recently is to basically streamline the regulations and improve on the insurance framework across the board. It includes insurance companies as well as insurance brokers. We have seen regulations for the carful companies, and now, of course, digital insurance licenses as well. So from a regulator's perspective, of course, it's important for the development of the insurance industry at large that these regulations are not only passed on, but also implemented as well. We see a lot of regulations on paper. We see that motor insurance third party is mandatory. We see that there are certain workmen's compensation insurance is required, but they are very well documented on paper. But in general public, we don't see these insurances be sold. So that's why I think the regulator is working for at least I can speak for the past 10 years, and the regulator has tried to improve on the regulations part. We had the carful regulations that came in 2005, and then when the carful operations came in, then we saw regulations improving in 2017 for insurance, and now we see these new regulations coming in for the digital licensing as well. So in terms of importance, of course, we are a regulated industry, and we have to connect with the general public, so regulations are important. And I think the regulator is helping us out on us as an industry on those fronts. You're on mute, Anza.
Yeah, right. Mr. Ahmed Ali, yes, if you can also please shed your, shed some light into this particular advancement. The SCCP on the 19th of August 2022, very recently issued a registration regime for digital-only insurers and dedicated to micro-insurers. The idea behind this was to promote digitalization and improve customer convenience through instant provision of services, right? So the SRO, that's 1513, has introduced a new framework that's aimed at encouraging innovation and expanding product ranges and promoting financial inclusion. However, why do you think there was a need for this? Why do you think it is so important for the regulator to step in?
Yeah, for anything which has to do with the customer and to protect customer rights, whether it's a banking industry, whether it's a telco industry, whether it's an insurance industry, the regulatory role is very important. However, we saw in the past where we have insurance ombudsman where they have to intervene and to ensure customer satisfaction for the perspective of claim payments, which are some way or other there was a dispute between customer and the insurance company. So there is the one particular thing that where the regulator role is very important. Second, as far as this digital only insurance, which is the new rule regulation released by SCCP in 2017, upgraded. The penetration of insurance product, which is obviously all panelists are know, the very low in our country, which is I think probably 0.9%, and in other countries there are 3% or up to 7%, but we have only 0.9%. Our population is, as far as the reach and product is also concerned, we have 37% population in urban areas and remaining 62 and 63% in rural areas. So how are we going to reach to those areas which are untapped? So with the availability of 173 million mobile connections and internet penetration of 61 million, and as far as social media penetration and Android phone penetration, the only thing which is possible to reach out those which are untapped and financially excluded is through the digital means. So this licensing and regulatory release is very helpful for insurance company to launch innovative and new products in the market. On a conventional level, we are usually limited to marine insurance, fire insurance, and motor insurance. So if we have to reach out in these rural areas, we not only through digital means, we will not only innovate new products, but also easily ask these people to come on for the insurance. And not only this, we will digitally pay their claims and ensure claim payments digitally.
Absolutely, and sir, that is a very important point that you've raised, and it's something that I've seen as a recurring theme within this InsurTech Summit. So we talk about making micro insurance, even insurance possible within the masses, but we have seen calamities and tragedies. Our reaction has been more of reaction, and we're waiting for a disaster to hit and then take action. However, like you mentioned, the rural areas in particular, we now realize the need more than ever for the farmers, for the agriculture sector, for the smaller stores that are functioning. One of the biggest challenges was, again, claims processing. So definitely digitalization and connectivity is going to play a big role. But coming back to Mr. Ali Nadeem, sir, again, where did you see the opportunity when the licensing bit came about and the importance therein was made prevalent in the Pakistani insurance landscape? So I would encourage you to perhaps change your internet connection. It's very, very difficult to hear you. And no, you keep breaking up, sir. Maybe you should leave the Zoom link and then join it back again. Right, Mr. Ali Zaidi. So I'm going to ask this question over to you. So what are some of the concerns that the regulator may have while issuing licenses for new entrants? We saw that the SECP had their own sandbox and some wonderful initiatives.
General public wants, and they want to bring in investors who would invest more in the insurance and especially in the insurtech industry. So, like we were discussing, that of course, awareness is one issue. Insurance innovation is another issue. In Pakistan, we have not seen any innovation in the insurance sector for the past 5 decades at least. And then, of course, there are capacity issues as well. So, insurance industry in general is operating at a very low minimum capital requirement. So we can start a company, insurance company. I'll come to digital insurer in a bit. But even an insurance company can start a business with a capital of 500 billion. Life insurance can start a capital with a capital of 700 billion, whereas a bank has to have a minimum capital of 10 billion rupees. So there's a huge gap. And of course, we as an insurance industry is the one that keep risks at their balance sheet. So we are absorbing a lot of risks across the country. So to develop, of course, the insurance industry, SECP is basically trying to work with these smaller insurtech platforms where they can come up with innovations in different products, other than, of course, the normal corporate industry, more focused on the retail side, although the license includes property and marine and all licenses. Not all, but main corporate licenses as well. But what the regulator is trying currently is that they want innovation to come through in these new players, through these new insurtech platforms. And we have seen, like you mentioned, the sandbox, we have seen a couple of initiatives, especially on the aggregator model, where there are aggregators coming in and basically pushing the insurance industry to basically improve on their offerings in terms of products, in terms of claim servicing. So we, being one of the insurance company who is very focused on InsurTech, already have platforms, and we see how customers respond to different platforms, especially on the InsurTech side, on the technology side. We have a mobile app, we have working website platforms and all. So we are very closely working with these insurance aggregators. At the moment, none of the aggregator is big enough to bring their own products, to bring their own systems to the market. And that's why these regulations will encourage investors to put in the money and help aggregators and new players to basically set up insurtech companies or digital insurance companies. How will that help is, of course, because this is the first step, and when they start improving the market, it will encourage the insurance companies to invest in such platforms as well, maybe as a secondary company or maybe within their own company, set up different digital labs like the banks have done. Because once they see competition coming in from these insurtech platforms, they'll be more willing to invest. Because currently, an insurance industry, unfortunately, is very happy with what they're already doing, and no innovation is taking place. So,
right.
At one level, of course, these insurtech platforms will bring in some corporate competition to the general insurance companies. And at the other end, they will also basically encourage customers digitally, because these are the platforms that and they can, of course, partner with different banking apps. They can partner with different e-commerce apps. They can partner with different other digital platforms and generate insurance awareness as well. However, having said that, the challenge which I see currently is that the requirement which they have kept is very small. With the current devaluation of Pakistani rupee as well, 100 million rupees is not something which is good enough for an insurance company to operate. That's not even $500,000. So that is a challenge which these companies will face once they start underwriting business. Secondly, of course, they'll have to invest significantly on the development of their digital assets, be it apps, be it their portals. So a lot of money will go down to these digital assets, and very little will be left for them to create awareness. And social media campaigns, digital campaigns are fairly, they require some cost. And we have seen that the other digital platforms like for food delivery platforms or e-commerce platforms, they spend huge amount of money to develop a customer base. So for that, of course, there will be a challenge which will come in. And I think the SCCP also anticipate that at the moment, but they just want to encourage smaller players to enter the market first. And then once that happens, maybe the investors will start putting in money to these platforms, and gradually they'll start developing the sort of awareness and customer base which is required for digital business.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ali Zaidi, for sharing those comments. And it's unfortunate, but Mr. Ali Nadeem has some internet connectivity issues at his end. However, he will be speaking to us, but only via audio. So, Mr. Ali Nadeem, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Okay,
guys?
brilliant. Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you so much for the effort and still joining us despite of the internet connectivity issue. Right. Sir, so moving back to the question that we initially asked you, again, the importance of licensing, and again, the same question. What are some of the concerns that the regulator may have with issuing licenses for new entrants? So we understood, Mr. Ali Zaidi has covered quite a few aspects, but I would like for you to also shed some light into some of the elements of fraud or potential fraud therein.
Yeah, so I just have, I was listening to Mr. Ali, and I just want to make a couple of comments. One is that I cannot agree more with what just Ali Saab said, that the requirement is way too low. I think the amounts really need to scale up, because if you go and find digital systems or platforms, they are expensive. The processes that you want to set up, they are expensive. So I think the amounts really need to go up, because at the end of the day, you don't want an insurance company to come in, set up platforms, start selling businesses, and when the time comes to make the claim payments, they're not solvent. That's one. The other is, I think the important thing is that I really appreciate the fact that SCCP has taken this initiative of coming up with these digital insurance licensing requirements. But I think there was a step in the middle that still needs attention. That is that I think majority of the existing insurers, I'm sure Ali Saab will agree with me, all of the insurers are partnered with one or the other digital aggregators. All the insurers have, put their products on their websites, whereby, people can go and buy the products directly. So, what about the processes that are required to make the journeys completely digital for the existing insurers? Because we have, combined, we cover majority of the lives. The digital insurers, when they come in, they will start generating lives to be covered, but we already have a large set of lives that are covered, and we all struggle. I can give you my example, life's example, that we, on a day-to-day basis, we struggle to increase digitalization in our processes so that it's a smooth journey for the existing customers. So I think, we're, just like I said, we really appreciate the fact that these licensing requirements have come, but there is a lot of work still required to be done at the SCCP's end to further streamline the process. Because without streamlining those processes, even for the existing insurers, this won't fix the problem. So this is my take on this.
Right. Thank you, sir, for making these pertinent points. Moving on now, back to Sir Mr. Emir Ali. Sir, according to the SCCP, they're also working on a centralized database of all insurance customers, which will allow better tracking of customers when they shift providers and also allow customized quotations based on history. What changes will this bring for digital insurance providers?
Yeah, so I don't know if this is already applicable or existing practice in place where the insurance company is maintaining digitized centralized data, because most of the 50 companies in private sector operating in Pakistan, 50 plus, they have most have the corporate customer, not the retail customer. Most of them, they have the corporate customer base. So if the centralized data and for example, if we talk about Angro Corporation as a group, they have multiple companies on their part of their group, and they have multiple insurance classes of business within the insurance sector. So if they compete for different products and for different quotation from different companies, obviously there is probably the insurance company have to reduce the premium size of the quotation, but not the coverage, improve the coverage side of the. So I think the corporate side would, the centralization of the data would not help on the corporate sector, but on the retail sector. From the retail sector, obviously, from the corporate sector, we also, timely giving personalized service to corporate clients, timely paying their claims. But on the retail and the micro side, we probably the intimation of claims and the timelines in which we are paying the claims of retail customer and micro customer, which is obviously negligence. So if they maintain centralized data on the regulatory perspective, that is very encouraging, and we should do that. We should do this. In terms of customer service and timely assessment of claims and intimations of claims and turnaround time for the settlement of claims. So this very it should be done.
Right. So thank you for sharing your comments. And Mr. Ali Zaidi, the same question to you, sir.
So, if I understand correctly, so there are a couple of things happens with SCP related. One is, of course, the central repository for the customers, which is mostly because of the recent regulations, which was floated back in 2020 for the AML and CFT requirements. So, all the insurance companies are struggling to get compliance with the AML regulations, because there is an extensive KYC requirement for insurance now, which was not there previously. So one is that central repository for the customers, which SCP is encouraging all the insurance companies to use their platform. And it's still work in progress, and it will help out the insurance companies as well. Because for corporates and for individual both, there is issue for collecting all the KYC documentation, which is now required as per law. So a central repository is being made, which will not only help insurance companies, but mutual funds and everyone. The other one is, of course, the customer data for claims and policy. So that's more on the auto side, which was being discussed in collaboration with CDC itself, where the discussion is that the claims and data and the policy data will be maintained at a central level, so that the penetration of motor insurance can increase. Currently, I think the overall number of vehicles insured is around 500,000, despite it being a requirement for all the vehicles to be insured. So, to encourage that and to basically help out law enforcement to check if the vehicle is insured or not, that insurance policies be made for motor insurance, where at a central location, you can check if the taxes for vehicle has been paid, if it's insured or not, if it's insured, what claims he has taken. So it's a step in the right direction, although we are still far behind the other countries who have much better data compilation for this. But I think it's a step in the right direction, and insurance companies should basically support this. Currently, what I've seen is a little reluctance from the insurance companies to share their data. So I personally feel it should not be the case. I mean, if we're sharing the data, and it's for the good of the for the development of the industry.
Right, sir. Mr. Ali Nadeem, are you there with us?
Yes, I'm very much there.
Okay, great. So do you have perhaps another, perspective on what was asked about the centralized database?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's good to have a centralized data, but I still think that companies usually are fairly reluctant sharing the information public. I mean, it's not public, but still sharing the information, because I think we as IGI Life, we continue to struggle, even for our customers and customer bases, that we continue to receive various complaints of data leakages. Then not just us. I mean, I've heard these complaints coming from a lot of banks. So I mean, it's theoretically it's a good thing, but as long as we're able to secure the data and put enough security walls around it to make sure that there are no leakages and there's no misuse, I think we should refrain from this.
Right. It's encouraging to actually hear a completely different perspective. But thank you for bringing that to light. You've identified some very real concerns that need to be kept in mind on behalf of the regulator. Mr. Emir Ali, in the interest of time, let's wrap up with your closing remarks and also hear a bit about your policy recommendations. So you're on mute.
As I previously mentioned in your program, that regulators should ensure that apart from the 50 private companies which are focused on corporate side, we should have micro insurance or retail insurance regulatory perspective, or a minimum capital paid up capital requirement. As these insurance rules are released, I'm very much happy that a new players come in the market and create disruption as far as the micro retail, and apart from that, whether it's a manual product or it's a digital product, but this is very encouraging. Number one. Number two, for example, innovation is concerned. I just want to share data we are Karachi at. So since 2005 until date, we have almost 1.5 million mobile phone theft or snatch in Karachi only. So apart from these regulations, where these regulations play their part, there is no retail or micro insurance coverage products for the retail customer on ground level. However, this is phone insurance product is available for the corporate sector, but not for the retail and micro level. So this is the kind of innovation we require on ground. There are companies who are giving coverages for 3 months or 6 months basis for the phone screen, but not the entire mobile phone. So This is something which we need, innovation in the product and expanding product range. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Mr. Ali Zaidi, sir, your recommendations and closing remarks on the topic.
So I think, like I mentioned, it's a step in the right direction, but there are quite a few things which need to improve gradually. Maybe the SECP should increase the minimum capital requirement gradually. I don't want them to strangle the new players with a very high requirement. But that should be part of the regulations, and the company should know initially that what investments they need to make in the years to come. And secondly, I mean, the regulations have gone through it, so they do provide for providing forecasts and business model and everything, but there should be certain milestones identified when given a license to an insurance payer, that what exactly they are going to do and by when. And they should also ask those insurtech players to basically report back to them about their achieving their milestones. Because that way, I mean, it gives a push to the company as well when the regulator is asking about something, that whether you have digitized your claim process in time or not, how many customers you have achieved if you are a certain target. So I think it will provide a good push for the companies. And other than that, of course, the new company should also be encouraged to venture into new products. So, for example, Bike insurance is something, I mean, we have one of the largest bike population in Pakistan, I think we're the third or fourth largest, I don't know. But we don't have any bike insurance in Pakistan. We have over 70 million smartphone users, over 100 million mobile phone customers. We don't have mobile insurance in Pakistan. So the regulator should also encourage new players to basically come up with new products. We see, just giving a running example, we see Go Digit in India. They have some very good products which were not existing in the market previously, and now they are selling millions of those products now. It's a completely digital experience for the customers, and they're happy. So I think the new players should be encouraged to work on innovation, not only in terms of the service and customer servicing, but also product development. And we have a population of 220 million people, so there's a huge room for such products and for such innovations in Pakistan.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Mr. Ali Nadeem, over to you, sir.
Yeah, just like I said earlier, I think SECP, where it's brilliant to consider letting specialized insurers in the country. A lot of things need to be streamlined for the existing insurers as well, who intend to increase the digital experience of their customer base. So I think some regulations need to come through to support the existing insurers as well. So there's a level playing field. That's number one. Number two is we definitely need to increase the capital requirements. The existing ones proposed in the regulation seem very low. And lastly, I think we definitely need to keep into account the fraudulent activities and how we can control that, given the fact that these digital products, the way they're going to be designed and what the kind of appeal they will have for masses, there are going to be cases of fraud and manipulation. So these are all the things that we need to be very wary of, and it's a brilliant step, just like I said earlier. So and now I think because this step is taken, now everybody should work together with the regulator and continue to further improve as we go along, and I'm sure we'll find the ways.
Right. Thank you so much for your time, gentlemen. It's been an honor talking to all of you and learning from all of you. I'm sure the audience got some food for thought as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned. We have another important session coming up. Until then, please keep us updated with your comments and feedback. This is the InsurTech Summit 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Hamza.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.